Welcome, viewers of the Broward County Bar Association's Meet Our Sponsors. In this episode, we will be speaking with Raymond Robin, Managing Partner at Keller Landsberg. Welcome, Ray.
Hey, how you doing, Claudia? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, my friend. So let's get right to it. Can you tell us a little bit about Keller Landsberg? Tell us about your firm. What do you do?
Well, we're a firm obviously in Fort Lauderdale. We're a member of the Broward County Bar Association. We are a relatively small firm compared to some of the firms I've worked for before. We focus primarily on legal malpractice defense. That's what we're well known for. But we do have other areas of practice that we do. One of them is commercial litigation. And another one is insurance defense and some property defense matters. But the bulk of our matters that we handle are legal malpractice defense, and that is really arises and comes from our founding partner, David Keller, who's the president of the firm. David Keller is well known for his expertise in legal malpractice defense. So what that means is we defend lawyers who are either sued in a case or have issues with the Florida bar, cases in front of the Florida bar, or otherwise who just generally have questions and matters that deal with the practice of law, ethics, and need our advice.
And, I know that Keller Landsberg's been around for a long time. You are a pillar here in Broward County, and you serve lawyers across the state. So that segues perfectly into you telling us a little bit about yourself, your team at Keller Landsberg, culture, philosophy, and how that relates to how you treat your clients.
Okay. In terms of myself, I have been a lawyer since 1986. I practiced primarily in early days in Miami, although I always lived further north, and I have lived in Broward for many, many years. I used to just drive to Miami all the time. I worked in some smaller firms, but also a large firm. Before I came here, I worked at Wayne Morris, which is a AmLaw, I guess now 50 or 100 law firm, a very large international law firm. I graduated in 1986 from law school. I clerked for Judge Nesbitt and the Third District Court of Appeal. And I worked in Miami, as I said. I actually went to law school at night, and that's something that's kind of interesting. Before that, I didn't go to law school right away. I did an MBA, and I worked in a steamship company as a financial analyst, and then I went to law school at night. I joined Keller Landsberg in 2011. So I've been here now. This year is going to be my 10th year. And Keller Landsberg has been around since 2009, although it is an offshoot from a firm that was in Broward County for many, many years, a very well-known firm, Bennell Wolf. So that's pretty much my history. I guess I had a little detour at one point. I became very interested in programming, and so I left law at some point to become I taught myself how to program, especially internet and website programming, database programming, and it became such a big deal as a hobby that I left and started a company between 1988 and about 2003. 1998 and 2003, I ran a company that developed websites, shopping cart websites, those kind of websites. And then I left the company and went back to law. I practiced law during that time as well, a little bit. And then I went back to practicing law full time, left the company with my wife running it, and eventually it closed down. But so I had a little bit of a detour. But other than that, I've always been a lawyer since 1986. I always practiced commercial litigation, and that was my primary focus until I came to this firm. And since then, I have a focus as well on legal malpractice defense, although I still do commercial litigation cases. A lot of my legal malpractice cases have some commercial litigation aspects about them because, of course, legal malpractice defense is defending a case usually within a case, which means the same kind of cases I used to handled just as a commercial litigation matter became are now the same kind of cases that I handle from a legal malpractice defense kind of aspect. In our firm, we have a lot of people who are similar to me in that they've worked for larger firms, very well-known larger firms in Florida, and they are after a few years of practice and quite a bit of practice, they've joined our firm, and so we have a team of lawyers who are extremely qualified, graduated to top of their, high in their classes, and work for very fancy firms, and they now enjoy and have been with our firm for quite a while. So we have a very good team that works on all of our cases in our firm.
Since you had mentioned it, I knew I was going to throw it out at you, but I'm glad you mentioned your tech background. And I really always have found that fascinating, a lawyer that is a tech entrepreneur. So I'm guessing that because of that, first of all, you're a businessman. Second of all, you're creative with technology. How does that help you practicing law?
The tech stuff is really, really useful, especially actually, what's funny is it's more useful when you work at smaller firms, because you work at big firms, like when I worked at Dwayne Morris, they have a whole floor of the building in Philadelphia that's devoted just to the IT, that kind of stuff. And when you work in smaller firms, you become the tech guy as well. So sometimes that's a curse, but a lot of times it really helps to understand how these things work, because what I have found is a lot of lawyers think they know tech, because they've learned the key words and the fancy catchphrases, but they don't really understand what it means. On the other hand, I got to admit that tech moves so fast that while I was really, really at a cutting edge when I was doing it in the early 2000s, it moves beyond you. If you stop doing it, it just moves beyond you so quickly that I can't say that I'm anywhere near what I was. Because what happened was, because the internet was so new and no one knew anything, and I became very obsessed with teaching myself what it was about and how to program it and how to do the database programming and integrating them with shopping cart programs that allowed you to buy that allowed a company to have its entire database on a web page without having to make separate pages for every single product. But what I'm getting at is, nobody knew anything, and so my lack of knowledge and limitations helped me, because I didn't know what was impossible. So I was able to accomplish what was impossible because no one told me. I never studied that stuff, so it was a whole new frontier, and I just made things happen. So I really was able to do some tremendous stuff. But it once you stop, it just rolls right over you, and then you can't keep up with it. It's so it moves so quickly. So I have very good ideas about and how these things work and the concepts. So sometimes when I talk to our IT people, they're always impressed at how much I really do know in terms of the concepts, and it really does help to evaluate software that we use and threats, internet threats, and those kind of issues. So
Well, it just
it's always
speaks
been
to
very useful.
it speaks to your determination and your ability to really learn something quickly and thoroughly, which leads us to telling us a little bit about any notable or unique cases that you've handled and what the final outcome was.
Right. So what's interesting about our firm. Our firm's motto is that we defending reputations, and that's what we do. We defend reputations of attorneys who are being, find themselves in difficult situations, sometimes of their own making, and sometimes completely unfairly. Let's say, or maybe I should say always unfairly, but sometimes of their own making. How about that? I'll put it like that. As a result, we have very strict policies about, not disclosing who our clients are, because we it's a sensitive area that we work in. So a lot of times when we talk about cases that we handle, we don't disclose who our clients are or give any kind of indication of who they are. But having said all of that, we've handled some very large legal malpractice cases, and I've handled some large commercial litigation cases, and some of which have, many of which I would say have been very successful. So, like I said, for personally, I handled a case. Interesting. It's been a while now, but it's sort of it made some headlines in the Broward, in the Dade County, what's it called, the Daily Business Review. It was a case that I represented a manufacturer of a pharmaceutical manufacturer, and they were sued because they had, in manufacturing a new drug on behalf of a client, they built what was called a master cell bank. And the master cell bank, well, there was a claim by the plaintiff that the master cell bank was infected with the mad cow disease. And so after this, so the issue became, they built this drug on this master cell bank, and over the years they got approval from the FDA, and they were working with approval. So it takes many years, and then they claimed to have found out that there was a problem with the master cell bank. So the interesting thing about it was, we had experts who said that there was nothing wrong with the master cell bank. A product had been used in it that had come from, I believe, from China. And this was many years ago, in fact, this whole case. It's just is a very interesting case. And so our experts were ready to testify that there was nothing wrong with the master cell bank in fact. And the actual case was for millions and millions, like close to $100 million. But we managed to, we filed a motion for summary judgment on a statute of limitations claim, and the case in the end settled for a minimal amount. So we've had some interesting cases like that. I recently, the team that I was working with in our office recently prevailed on a class action suit, also one of these cases that would result in millions and millions of dollars. We won a summary judgment on a class action suit brought against a law firm client of ours, and it's now being appealed. So we've had some interesting cases, and we have many. I think it's fair to say some very successful results with our cases.
So with those kind of skills, obviously you have a quality shop and get some great results. That would make me think that you've received recognition or awards. Can you talk a little bit about any of those that Keller Landsberg may have received?
Yeah, I will. Let me tell you first about some personal ones. David this year was named Best Lawyers for the umpteenth time. I'm trying to think how many years he has been named every year for Best Lawyers for legal malpractice defense in Florida. And I'm happy to say and proud to say that this year, the first time I was named Best Lawyer for commercial litigation in Fort Lauderdale, I was awarded that. Not long ago, before this pandemic and everything went crazy, we attended an event in Miami, and we were awarded, Keller Landsberg won an award from the Daily Business Review. We were awarded the Litigation Department of the Year for insurance firms. In a small firm handling insurance matters, we won the Litigation Department of the Year, and that was the Daily Business Review in 2019. So those are the recent ones. There's been obviously others over the years, but those are two few things that we're proud of that happened recently.
Excellent. Well, I know.
And I want to stress that yes, while I'm on this interview with you, all of these things are done by the teams and primarily people other than me in this firm. So obviously and most people who would be watching this know our fearless leader David Keller, who's admired and loved by all, and he does tremendous. He does a lot of these things, and these awards that we get are directly. He's directly responsible for them, and they're directly because of him. So, I don't want to make it sound like it's me. It's primarily everybody else, but I'm talking to you.
No. You do a great job. Look, David you're right. I mean, David is a longtime, pillar here in Broward and in South Florida, and highly respected. and very involved in the community. So tell us about some of the involvement that you all have with the community, volunteering, advocacy, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we are, and we're always looking into new opportunities. And actually, at the moment, we're looking at we're working on trying to come up with a program for everyone in our office who can select different charities and work for them and do different things. But that's something that's just in the works, so I don't want to say too much until we actually get it going. Beyond that, our partners are members of the young director. What is it called? The Broward County, the young lawyers. What's it?
Oh, the young lawyer section of the
Yes,
Broward Bar.
yeah, Kerry. You know Kerry from our
Right.
firm.
Carrie's on the board of directors. Yes.
That's right. She's on the board of directors, and so we do stuff like that. David has long been a member of the Judicial Nominating Committee. He was for the Broward County Circuit Court, and now I believe he's on the 4th DCA, Judicial Nominating Committee. We also do a lot of we do pro bono work and handle cases for different groups and individuals as it comes along. There's no real specific program, but it happens that when people have a cause that they want to help with, then we do. So.
And look, I mean, you're heavily involved with the bar. I mean, every time I call you, you're like, oh no. And I mean, you've provided programming before COVID. I mean, you did it Tri-County. We did 3 programs together. You put those together.
That was good.
And then with COVID, I mean, you've provided a few programs statewide on webinars. So heavily involved supporting the bars. So we're grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, we love it. And it's always fun with you. I always, I'm always nervous until we do it. But then when we do it, it's always fun.
Yeah, good. No, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. So fantastic firm. Tell us a little bit about what sets Keller Landsberg apart from others.
Yeah, and I think this is something, I know that. Well, let me just say it like this. I think that what sets Keller Landsberg apart from other firms, that especially that I have worked at, and I've been at quite a few firms in my time, is that we work in sort of in a team mode, and there's no person on the team. When we have a legal team of people, lawyers and even paralegals who are working on and even I would say assistants working on a case, there's no sort of hierarchy from the standpoint that no one can contribute comfortably and without fear of saying the wrong thing to the project and what we're working on. And what I mean from that is I've worked in a lot of firms where senior partners are overbearing and demanding and end up like quelling, I won't even say dissent, but ideas from other people, and that tends to hurt the client because sometimes you can believe too much in your case, and you can find yourself in a position where you're not serving your client because you refuse to think of possible downsides and disadvantages or weaknesses in your case. And it's very important, in my opinion, to work with a team that understands that they should not be just agreeing with you. They should be contributing to the project, and to the extent that they have anything to say that, with regard to the position you're taking or what the law is or what they believe the strategy should be, it will be welcomed and discussed. And if it's a better idea than you have, then you'll go with that. It's not because I've worked as a lawyer for many years or because I'm a managing partner of the firm that what I say happens to that goes, and no one can ever contradict me or suggest that there might be a better idea. And I think I hope I'm not waffling here, but I think that's very, very important, because a lot of times lawyers like to get very adamant about their position, and they don't like to hear other people tell them otherwise. And it can be very harmful, because I always tell people, when you get in front of a judge, that judge is not their job is not dependent on you. And that judge will slap you down, and you don't want to find that out 5 years into the case because you wouldn't listen to someone who was more sensible and had a good idea 5 years ago. So I think that is something that's a real benefit to our firm. That's something that is in our culture, and that's something that sets us apart and helps us to better serve our clients.
Collaboration.
Yes, and it's more than that. It's more than collaboration. It's sort of not allowing the hierarchy to govern the best ideas. And so I think that's really makes a big difference. And along those same lines, it's the understanding that everybody makes mistakes, and if there's a problem, we need to fix it, not hide it because of the consequences that might happen to somebody if the mistake is, if they mention the mistake. So we're big on allowing people to express themselves, allowing people to participate, and also working out issues rather than just having somebody at the very top decide everything, and it turns out that when you get in front of the judge doesn't go along with it.
Too true. So is there anything else that you'd like to add, tell the audience about Keller Landsberg?
I think that, what I've set up to now is pretty much the thing that sets us apart. But I do think that, everybody here is dedicated to our primary goal is for the benefit of our clients. And as I mentioned before, David is our fearless leader, and he's been around a while, and he has a very good, he is excellent. He's an excellent lawyer, and his position, and he always does instill in us, is this philosophy that we need to take actions that protect our clients, and it's always, everything we do is devoted to ensuring that we're protecting the client.
Well, thank you, Ray, for taking time to being with me, interviewing, talking, really just having a conversation. I've had a great time, and I'm sure you've educated our viewers. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening, my friend.
Thank you. Nice talking to you too, Braulio. Take care.